Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. When it comes to Warzone 2, obviously with the TTK being a bit faster, accuracy is everything. You gotta land your shots. And with that, today I wanted to focus on some of the easiest weapons to use in the game that coincidentally all happen to be rifles right now. The rifle category in specific is just by far the easiest there is. You've got the LMGs, which have some control, but they're heavier hitting. So more bounce, but more damage, right? Obviously battle rifles, marksman rifles, bit more of a skill gap there. Some are easy, some are not. The rifles though, all decent damage and really good control for some reason. So jumping into our list here, we're starting first with one of my favorite weapons in the game, the TAC-56. This is one that's sort of fallen out of the top rifle conversation because its TTK is a little bit slower on paper than some other rifles, but when you factor in accuracy, when you factor in missed shots, this is a weapon that you're really not going to miss all that many shots with, right? And shout out to True Game Data. On his site, he actually has the recoil plots available to see for every single weapon in the game. So I'll be sure to throw those up on the screen so you guys can see the actual patterns here. For the TAC-56, this is just like a pretty standard up and to the right pattern. So very straightforward and very easy to control, especially when you have the full build on here, which helps sort of counteract that. Now, personally, I love the iron sights. I find them to be super easy. So I like using that over an optic. That said, if you wanted to use an optic, you could drop the combat rear grip here and throw on the AIM-OP V4, throw on a 3.4, whatever you wanted to use. But I like the combat rear grips, just some added control. I tune for the better stability and steadiness there. 40 round extended mag, you could also jump up to 60. There's no real wrong answer there, right? High velocity ammo, going to make it more consistent in the mid to long range. We tune for even better velocity and some better damage range. The Ripper underbarrel here will help make this weapon feel a bit easier because it's going to basically knock out all the sway and really increase the stabilization there. So it's going to be pinpoint accurate over long ranges. We actually tune for the better stability and stabilization here. And then lastly, Harbinger suppressor. This will help out with the range, the velocity, and some added control as well. We're tuning for an even better velocity, and to make things a little bit more aggressive, we go for the better ADS speed as well. But this thing is going to shoot straight. You learn that pattern of up and to the right, you figure out how to control that in all ranges, you're good to go. This thing is a laser beam. Now the Hemlock, obviously a weapon that pretty much everyone's been using as a top rifle choice, as a top meta choice ever since it dropped. Now that said, it's still a top pick choice now, even after multiple updates. This thing's TTK is not anything special, or rather its damage is not anything special, because while it actually has currently one of the slowest accurate TTKs in the rifle category, because it is so much easier to use than the Kastov 7.62, then maybe the M4 in some cases, then maybe the M13 in some cases, its realistic TTK won't be as slow as what it appears to be if you were comparing the stats just raw with 100% accuracy factored in, which isn't as realistic, right? So even though its damage is mediocre, its accuracy makes up for that. The recoil pattern here, basically again, just up and to the right, although it's a little bit tighter, so it's going to be a little bit more accurate than something like the TAC-56, right? Setup here is relatively standard. AIM-OP V4, obviously the number one go-to optic for most players, but always use the one that you're the most comfortable with. Furthest eye position and faster ADS on those tunes. 45 round extended mag here, sufficient for what the fire rate is. We got high velocity ammo on here yet again for the better consistency in the mid to long range. I don't feel like you need an underbarrel here because the recoil is so easy. I basically just trade that out for the Fielder T50 barrel, which is going to give you some standard recoil control. There will be sway here, but that's not always the end all be all, making a weapon great or making a weapon awful, right? You could certainly experiment though, trading this out for a Ripper or an Edge 47 if you wanted to, but I like the added range of velocity you also get here, tuning for better range and steadiness. And then again, Harbinger suppressor, same deal as back on the Scar, better velocity. You can go for smoothness or ADS speed, not going to make a huge difference there. Either or is going to work well. And the Hemlock, despite not having the greatest damage profile anymore, is still one of the easiest weapons to use in the entire game. The STB-556, quite frankly, is a slept-on weapon. Its drawback here is its magazine capacity. It's got one of the faster fire rates in the rifle category, but it's only got a 42 round mag. So, for mid to long range, it's a little bit more rough. You have to be accurate. Good thing though, this thing is ridiculously easy to use. The recoil pattern here is mainly vertical, but there is some slight, horizontal movement to the right in there, here and there, but for the most part, relatively straightforward. One of the weapons that personally I find to be the easiest in the game. Really, the entire AUG platform, all the weapons are very straightforward and very easy, but specifically the STB works really well as like sniper support in the mid range, but also you could get away with using it long range. Like for instance, this setup really is efficient in that regard. So AIM-OP V4 V4 yet again, same deal as always. We got the 42 round mag as mentioned as the max here, so you just got to be mindful of, you know, your reloading there. It'll happen often just because of what the fire rate is like. Again, high velocity ammo for the better range, better velocity tunes there, then obviously just the straight up better velocity stat you're getting in general. No underbarrel, not really needed. If you wanted to try one, you certainly could, but I value the rear guard here for the better range, better velocity. This isn't even helping with your control really all that much, and the setup still beams because of how easy the base weapon is, right? And lastly, again, we've got the Harbinger suppressor, better velocity, better ADS speed, just gonna make things a little bit easier all around, even more consistent as well in the mid to long range gunfights. Slept on gun for sure. It's TTK, very impressive. Then its accuracy factored in, it really can shine. As we get into the last couple of weapons here, quick reminder, if you guys are new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, every single day I'm your one-stop shop for all things going on in COD, whether it is news, updates, leaks, loadouts, you name it, it's all right here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. That way you can always guarantee you're up to date with all things going on. And if you guys enjoy the video or if you find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on the video itself. Would be seriously appreciated. Next up here, we've got the Kastov 545, which is like at an angle in the preview screen here. I don't know what's going on there, but this thing is also very, very easy to use. The pattern here, once again, just pretty basic, up and to the right. So all these weapons you could kind of interchange and they're going to feel very similar, which is nice because you don't really have to do that much adjusting if you want to change between the Kastov 545 or the Hemlock or the Scar, depending on what you're feeling that day, because quite frankly, being the easiest weapons to use in the game, there's not much of a skill gap and, you know, master time required, if you will, to learn the weapon all that much because they are so straightforward, right? Setup here is going to be very similar to the other ones as well. AMOT V4, 45 round mag, you again could jump up to 60 if you wanted to. No real difference there outside of a slight slowdown when using 60 versus 45. High velocity ammo for the better consistency, better hit reg basically in the mid to long range, better velocity and range on the tunes there. Once more, I don't feel like you have a huge need for an underbarrel. If you wanted to though, you could absolutely swap out the K30 barrel and see which version feels the best to you. It's a lot of preference in there, if I would say. We also got better range and velocity and control out of the K30 barrel though, which does actually play a pretty big part in those mid to long range gunfights, tuning for the better range and steadiness here. So you're helping out again, making the weapon feel even easier with this. And then same deal here with the Harbinger with the better velocity, better range, slightly better control as well. Better velocity and ADS speed on the tunes for that one. Straightforward, easy to use. Again, the damage on all of these isn't anything all that crazy, but because they are so easy to use, the realistic TTKs are super competitive. And then lastly here, while there's no like real order here of 5 to 1, I'm just going through the 5 easiest guns in the game. I would say I find the Lachmann 556 to be the absolute easiest weapon to use in the game right now. Its pattern here is basically straight vertical. It's got like a slight S curve going on, but it's definitely the most predictable and the most consistent of all the ones here today, which is why I find it to be the easiest there is. Not to mention this one's damage and its realistic TTK is probably going to be best in class if you were to compare all these ones on the list here today. This thing just fries. The last buff really made this thing a top tier competitor. Now here we got the AMOT V4 standard yet again. 40 round extended mag, 60 round extended mag, doesn't really matter. Pick your poison there. We got the Ripper underbarrel here. If you wanted to trade this out for high velocity, you could, but I went all for control on this, and man, it just, you point and shoot. You don't have to work to take out anybody with this setup in particular. We're going for the better stability and stabilization on this setup. Echoless 80 suppressor, if you wanted to jump up to Harbinger, you're going to be a little bit slower on your ADS, but it will offer some little added control there, more so than what we have on this setup in general. But to me, Echoless is totally sufficient. Better velocity and ADS speed on those tunes. Then the wrap barrel, it's the 3-in-1 yet again, velocity, range, control, tuning for even better range, even better steadiness as well. I mean, this thing is as good as it gets if you're looking for a weapon that is low risk, high reward, right? You guys know at this point, I've been ranting and raving about this thing for some time now. It's just a beast, straight up. That being said, those are 5 of the absolute easiest weapons to use here in Warzone 2. That's going to wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications to always stay up to date with everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.